Do you wish that all things wealth and finance were much easier to understand and not presented by a bunch of beige cardigan-wearing geeks? Welcome to the Clever Investor Podcast, where we're dishing up the easiest to understand finance program served in bite-sized chunks, so your brain will thank you as your knowledge grows. Hosted by the brilliant Owen Taylor, a multiple award-winning expert with a glorious knack for explaining the complex world of wealth in the simplest of ways.
Hey, clever investors, and welcome to another show. If I had to ask people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Henry Ford, founder, Ford Motor Company, 1863-1947. Henry Ford is a pioneer of the automobile industry. He was the founder of Ford Motor Company and the chief developer of the assembly line technique of mass production. His statement holds a profound lesson in innovation and vision. Now, before we pull the wheels off this statement, there has been debate for many years if Ford did utter those exact words. And the only guy that can really tell us, that being Henry Ford himself, unfortunately died in 1947. But let's still jump aboard my explanation truck and take a drive around the block to unravel the meaning behind this quote and understand why it's more than just a clever phrase. Picture a world back in the early 1900s where horses were the primary mode of transportation. Now, in that context, asking people what they wanted might well have resulted in responses like stronger horses or faster horses. These answers make sense based on what was familiar and within the existing frame of reference. However, Henry Ford wasn't content with incremental improvements. He had a vision that went well beyond the obvious, a vision that gave birth to the automobile industry. Instead of adhering to the comfort of familiarity, he dared to think differently and introduced a revolutionary concept that forever transformed transportation. Henry Ford's quote encapsulates a critical lesson in innovation. True progress often stems from ideas that extend beyond the confines of conventional thinking. It's about identifying unmet needs, even when people may not explicitly express them. Consider our smartphones that we've all got in our pockets as a great example. If the tech companies way back in the 1990s had asked people what they wanted, they might have said better flip phones or improved keypad designs, different colours. Instead, the visionaries like Steve Jobs introduced a device that combined not only a phone, but a camera, a music player, and a computer, all into one smart, easy-to-carry design, an innovation that's changed the way we communicate, work, and live. In fact, some of you are listening on your smartphone. Innovators and visionaries like Henry Ford possess the ability to see the unseen. They recognise that human desires extend beyond immediate needs, and they aim to fulfil the latent aspirations that people might not even realise they have. Ford's quote takes a look at the importance of looking beyond the surface and understanding the deeper desires and needs that people may not be able to articulate. It's about challenging assumptions and breaking free from the limitations of the status quo. Ford's quote means embracing a mindset of innovation and thinking beyond the expected. It means asking why and what if instead of just what. It's about creating products and solutions that exceeded expectations and address needs people may not even be aware of. So the next time you're contemplating a new idea, a product, or a solution, remember Henry Ford's words. Don't limit yourself to what's currently known or asked for. Instead, strive to uncover the untapped potential, envisage the unimagined, and shape the future by challenging the boundaries of what's possible. That quote serves as a reminder that true innovation goes beyond meeting the obvious and the immediate desires. Henry Ford highlights that true innovation and your own wealth growth comes from being provided solutions you didn't know you needed, rather than simply fulfilling a want. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you liked it and you love the Clever Investor podcast, hit that like, follow us on all the social medias, tell your friends and family. It's a great way of us growing our listenership. And if you've got any questions, feel free to get in contact with us. I'll see you again next week for another edition of the Clever Investor Podcast.
You have been listening to the Clever Investor Podcast, proudly sponsored this week by Blue Wealth Property. Are you ready to start a new investment journey? Get in touch with the industry leaders, Blue Wealth Property. Blue Wealth have a proven track record in using research to identify growth markets, and Blue Wealth have supported thousands of Australians to buy the right property in the right market at the right time. Go to bluewealth.com.au. Now it's time for a little word from today's podcast sponsor.
Have you thought about becoming a property investor but are just unsure where to start? Do you need a game plan on how to get started, or maybe you want to know where you should invest? Blue Wealth Properties Wealth Through Properties is the perfect starting point. They are going to give you the best top tips and tricks on investing in property the clever way, and they'll run you through the latest research as part of the Australian property market update. At this event, you'll learn how thousands of everyday Aussies are using property to grow their wealth for their future, and how you can too. Upcoming dates for Wealth Through Property are August the 30th at 6:30 p.m. live in Sydney Olympic Park or via webinar. September the 12th in Maroochydore, Wealth Through Property is live on the Sunshine Coast. September the 13th, Wealth Through Property is then presented live in Brisbane CBD. September the 18th, Wealth Through Property goes to first time to Bathurst, New South Wales. All events can be booked into by going to bluewealth.com.au and look in the events page.